Good afternoon, class. So today is 3rd of January, and the first news is related to the sorry trade deficit. Now, the trade deficit has been growing up till $15 billion in the month of December. So I hope you remember the basic premise about the trade deficit. What is a trade deficit? The basic difference between the exports and the imports. And when we are talking about deficit, that means our imports are larger as compared to the exports. Okay, and the difference between the imports and exports is approximately $15 billion in the month of December. So it is growing now. That means imports are increasing and the exports are decreasing, or the exports are not rising on the same pace as they should be or should have to be. I hope this is clear. Now, in that particular issue, I think that is only the information that you need to remember. There have been various criteria that are being mentioned in the article, in which it has been articulated that the gems and the refinery products has been not on increased demand in the world, due to which the major basket or whatever the commodities India was exporting majorly, they are not being demanded by the world, and that's why it has actually led to the decrease in the growth of the exports. So I hope this is clear. The next news is related to the Assam doubtful citizen get a center to learn their rights. So what is the Assam doubtful citizen? First of all, you have to remember what is a doubtful citizen. So there are two or three different provisions with respect to the citizenship that is to be determined by the National Register of Citizen. So there is a 1951 Act by the Registrar General of India. Then we have a Assam Accord that was negotiated in 1985. I will not be elaborating on both these things. Please read this on your own. Only the basic premise that you need to know, that what does a Assam Accord do and what does the Registrar or the Registrar General of India or the census, who's the, you can say, the census head of India, do in that particular scenario. So you will have to remember this. Now, in that particular part, there was a category called as doubtful citizens. Now, those are those citizens to whom the Election Commission of India have not extended the voting rights, because we are not sure of the fact that whether they are Indian citizen or not, or whether they have migrated from somewhere else and they have come to India, probably Bangladesh, or maybe some other reason from Myanmar or some other country. So to know that, understand one thing: 100 volunteers have basically formed a Samvidhan Kendra. This will tell them about the citizenship right, or the people, how they can exercise their citizenship right if they are living in the territory of India. And therefore, to answer the queries and the awareness of the citizen, they are playing it without any charges for the benefit of the people. And the idea has been contemplated by basically a person who is a lawyer, and he's a citizenship lawyer. So these are some of the things that are currently debated here. Further moving on, the next news is related to Congress veteran Bhutta Singh passes away. So he was important in the tenure of Srimati Indira Gandhi, and then he was important in the tenure of Shri Rajiv Gandhi. So he came from Dalit politics in CPA, and then he switched over to Congress. In Shiromani Akali Dal, he stayed for some small period of time. He was famous because basically he was given the charge of organizing the Asian Games in India for the very first time. So that is one of the major contribution that he had. He died, I think, he was an 8-time MP and was first elected in 1962. So these are some of the things that you need to remember. Further moving on is the COVA vaccine that gets expert panel nod. Now, COVA vaccine will be the vaccine that has been developed by Bharat Biotech, and this Bharat Biotech has been given sanctions by DCGI, that is Director Control General of India, and Drugs Controller General of India, and this Drugs Controller General of India have allowed COVA vaccine to be supplied, or license have been given to them for the restricted use in the emergency situation. So I hope this is clear. The next news is related to the expert. The next news is related to the hazards that are posed to the flights. Now, please understand, Salim Ali Center for Ornithology is basically and natural history. This is the total center name, and it is located in Karnataka. So basically, what they have said, uh, I think this is located in Kolkata, or the Salim Ali National Park is located in Karnataka. Okay, so Center for Ornithology and Natural History has been located in Kolkata, but Salim Ali National Park has been located in Karnataka, so or on the border of Kerala and Karnataka. Please read both these two because these are very important to be known about. The news is with respect to the research or recommendations that they have done. Now, what was the problem? The problem was basically that the birds were usually getting hit with the flights. So a study was conducted around the area where the airports were situated, and a comprehensive study with respect to that why birds are going over there has been detected, or has been one of the major problem formulation of the research. So they have found that there are certain things, if they are changed in the environment or the area that is around the airport, then it would be helpful in keeping off the birds away from the track. So basically, if there is any type of food, you do not throw that in open, or the dustbins are always covered with lid, then the crows will not go over there. If there is another type of wastage, for example, the water and the feed, the lapwing will also not go over there. So that is only a type of recommendation, and they have not done anything major. But somehow, I think you are able to understand that if you analyze the behavior of the birds, they are going over there in the need of something, or they are going in the airports because they are finding something or some prey to feed upon. Okay? That's why they are only going over there. Otherwise, there is no need for them to go over there. The next one is the Assam throws a lifeline to its only Ramsar site. Now, what is this Ramsar site? This Ramsar site is Dipur Bill. Remember this name. And this Ramsar site was declared as a Ramsar site in 2012. I hope you remember, Ramsar is a Iranian city. And from 1971, all the major wetlands that are of international importance has been designated as a Ramsar site. So basically, all the wetland or all the international wetlands that are important for mankind has been declared as a Ramsar site under the International Treaty of Wetlands. So Dipur Bill has been declared as an international Ramsar site in 2012. It is spread over 6,000 hectare in 1980s, but over the satellite imagery that we had, it has shrunk by approximately 35% over the last 40 years, because we are in 2020, so it has shrunk over 40% over the 35% over the last 40 years. The lifeline is thrown in the form when the administration have basically banned the community fishing and until the Bihu festival. So Bihu is a festival that is celebrated around mid-January, around 13th and 14th January, whenever the Lodi festival is celebrated. So prohibition on the community fishing has been provided over there, and that's why it has been actually basically provided a type of a lifeline to that particular part. Okay, so I hope this is clear. The next one is Iran plan to enrich uranium up to 20% purity. This has been set by IAEA. So if you remember 2000 Vienna record, Iran was allowed an enrichment up to 4.5%. They had earlier achieved the enrichment of 3.72%, but now IAEA have said that Iran is close to or have plans to enrich uranium up to 20% purity. So if they do with the 20% purity, then it is only a technical expertise which will actually change it to 20% to 90%. So that will again pose a threat to whole of the Central Asia. If you do not remember the whole thing that is revolving around Iran, please read Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. United Nations Security Council permanent members +1 are the countries who have agreed that they will supply some form of nuclear fuel to the Iran, because Iran has been demanding that for meeting the consumption of power at home, they need nuclear fuel because they cannot build dams and all other things. So what were the issues here? Mr. Donald Trump came to the office. He said to Iran that you are misusing or developing nuclear weapons, so I cannot risk instability in the Central Asia, because there are major allies who are situated in the Central Asia. So they needed to be protected. That's why we are pulling out unilaterally from Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. So I hope this is clear. Now, with Joe Biden, they have said that if they follow to the Vienna Convention proposals or the provisions strictly, then there would be less apprehensions on whom? On the Iranian authorities, because Iranian authorities are currently also going through the affected part of the sanctions that were imposed by United States of America. So I hope this is clear. The next news is related to why people with prior infections still need vaccination, because for a vaccination to be effective, you need similar kind of antibodies that are needed to be developed in multiple persons. And for herd immunity also, you need approximately 70 to 80% of the people who will be administered the vaccine. And if they are reacting effectively, because you do not know at which point a particular person has been infected with COVID, and afterwards what will happen or for how much longer the antibodies will stay in his body. So that's why we need a prior infections. All the people who are there, they still need vaccination so that a herd immunity could be developed. Okay. The next one is the woolly rhino from the ice age found in Russia. So it is, I think, was found in the permafrost. So everything that is in the permafrost is basically preserved for a longer time. I hope you remember the layer immediately below the ice is called as permafrost. The layer of the soil immediately below the ice is called as permafrost. Now this permafrost in the ice age or over the centuries of the civilization have contained the major fossils over the year, and this woolly rhino was one of the major fossils that we have found now. We have not seen woolly rhino right now, but the carcasses has been in a pretty good condition, so it is best preserved, and therefore when the permafrost will be taken up, we will be taking it to the lab and then the analysis will be done on it. Okay, so then we will know how much or on which decade this particular rhino has been living on the surface of Earth. The next one is the new measure that can predict whether a city is prone to rain or tide-based flooding. I hope you understand what is a rain or tide-based flooding. Rain-based flooding is whenever there is a humongous amount of rainfall received in a short span of time. The second one is the tide-based flooding, whenever there is a rise in the sea level and the water start moving in towards the city. There is a research that has been conducted by IIT Bombay, and IIT Bombay has basically conducted a search. But before going into what the research that they have conducted, you must remember the C40 cities report. This had come out in 2018. It keeps a track. I hope you understand the controversies were also around this particular issue, in which the central government have refused Mr. Kejriwal to attend the C40 cities summit. I think in the last year in 2019 we have talked about this. So C40 cities report came up in 2018, in which they have noted that the 570 cities around the coastal areas around the world by 2050 would have been submerged by approximately 0.5 meters. And in reference to that, I have given you the example of Jakarta. Okay? So there was capital of Indonesia that has been shifted to the island of Borneo now. Why capital of Indonesia is basically called as a sinking capital of the world. So you should search this online. I have also told to the students in the last year that you should search these things online by yourself. Because when you learn something by yourself from different videos, you will be able to basically note down that this is what the city we have talked about. Furthermore, if we debate about the issue, the research has been conducted by IIT Bombay on 3 cities. The IIT Bombay have taken 3 cities and they talked about, sorry, not the 3 cities, but the 3 localities in the Chennai city. And every locality basically have suffered in different level or in different proportion according to the water that was coming in by rain or coming in by tide. Okay. So in one of the portion, they have found that the rain and tide was affecting from the coastal area up to 13-kilometer area. So what are the details of the research? We need not to go into. Just remember the basic premise is that if we know what is the origin of the flooding in a particular city, we would be able to apply the remedy in the equivalent manner or in the proportional manner. So if it is a tide-based flooding that is occurring, then we can build high structures. If there is a rain-based flooding that is going to occur or has a probability to occur at a particular place, we have to keep the drains larger and make out a space for the water to move out from the city. Okay, so I hope this is clear. The next one is the rocky road for the banking sector in 2021. So there is a decline in the good news, the NPA rising, everything is happening with this. I hope you understand the NPAs are increasing to 7.5% by September 2020. And then there is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code that was enacted in 2016, which actually led to the more insolvency of the companies as they are not able to pay back the dues that they have taken as a loan. the NPAs are dangerously at a high level, and it is estimated that at about 10 lakh crore, which is 11.5% of the total loans that are sanctioned. This is the current scenario in the bank. So 10 lakh crore is the actual amount of NPA that is currently generated. Now, the decline in the bad loan is a good news, but it is not representing the real picture. Why it is not representing the real picture? Because there are certain moratoriums that are being provided, installments are being, the liquidity has been infused into the system. So therefore, whatever the real picture that the banking sector should reflect with respect to the NPA is not reflected, because government is giving money to the bank. So that actually led to, when you talk about NPA is basically whatever the total capital of the bank provided by the loans that are not coming back. Okay, so let's say a bank is of 100 crore and government have given 10 crore, sorry, the banks have given 10 crore as a loan, then 10% will be the NPA that is not coming back. Now let's say if the government is giving huge liquidity to the banks, so from 100 crore they have increased to 200 crore, so the 10 would be 5% of the total loans. So that's why they are saying that as the government have infused liquidity, as the cases are still going on with respect to the various issues, we are not able to get the correct picture of whatever the NPA situation is within the country, and that is actually harming us. Okay, so I hope this is clear. The next one is the Brexit deal. Now I hope you understand what is the Brexit deal. So basically, it was a custom union, it was a trade union, it was a monetary union. Now, UA and UK has basically enacted a trade cooperation agreement in which European Union and Britain have agreed for zero tariffs and therefore quotas for imports of all the goods. So quota is basically a thing in which a product is going from one country to another country. There is only a certain amount of quota that is allowed from other country. Now, there was again issues with respect to the hard exit and the soft exit. So Britain now have chosen a type of a soft exit in which it has been estimated that the Britain economy will suffer a loss of approximately 4%. I don't think that that is a much larger loss. Already we are going to, or we have suffered a larger loss in the form of minus 23.9% in the first quarter. But I hope you understand what I meant by that, that 4% is not a larger loss. So 6% is the loss that will be there. And in Northeast, sorry, not Northeast, but the Northern Ireland, the short things. So in Northern Ireland, whatever will be there, they will remain in the custom union and they will be able to trade with the European Union as they were earlier. With respect to the fishing water, the jurisdiction has been provided to UK now. So they will control the waters that are situated around the United Kingdom. So I urge you to please go on the map, see where United Kingdom is located, and then also see the various type of seas that are located around the Great Britain. Okay, so you will find the North Sea, you will find the English Channel, you will find the sorry, Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so these are some of the things that you do on your own, and I don't think there is anything to talk with respect to the Brexit deal. Just know about the information that they are exiting, and the custom control will be in the hand of the Britain now and not in the hand of the European Union. The next one is the chalking out an effective COVID vaccination plan. So how the vaccination will be provided, you will read this on your own. Okay, in many districts, the dry run has been held because the vaccines are going to be rolled out soon. So we will have to wait when the numbers of the certain districts and the certain people around the state will be there. I hope this is clear. The next news is, if you have no idea about the Nepal Communist Party, please read this article. I have already told you in the edition of Sunday's Hindu newspaper, everything that has happened over the week is put in a concise manner. So you will be able to revise everything on the Sundays. So if you are doing this, that will be beneficial. And if you have not read anything about the Nepal Communist Party, you should read this article. The next one is the corridor of uncertainty. So this is CPEC, comment on CPEC. Now why this is important? Because China and Pakistan have agreed with one another. There was a joint working group. Now, China have sought additional guarantees before offering $6 billion loan to the Pakistani authorities. Now, Pakistani authorities are relying heavily on China. They have already taken or provided back the $1 billion loan that they have taken from Saudi Arabia after they criticized the role of Saudi Arabia at the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. which actually did not condemn or did not talk about the Kashmiri people. This is what Pakistan has been claiming against Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia got angry and they slapped them back. They said that you Bhukha Nanga people pay back my money. What was there? So Pakistan had no other option but to pay back the money. So they took a loan from China. But China have sought additional guarantees that you promise us that what you will do if you are not able to pay back the loan. Now the uncertainties with respect to the development of the economy. So most of the economists are believing or in the worldwide that the China is putting Pakistan into debt trap and they will have to ultimately cede some of its territory if they are not able to pay. Because this is what the diplomacy China plays. Okay. You remember from history, this type of diplomacy was played by whom? The British authorities. Yeah. So the British authorities under the Lord Wellesley set up subsidiary system, and under the subsidiary system, you will not have any army. We will provide you army. Your expenses will be borne by you, and if you are not able to pay, you will have to cede some of the territory in the lieu of the payment for the army. This is the same philosophy China is following. They will give you huge loans. Once you are not able to pay them, they will ask you for some ceding of the territory. We have seen that in the case of Sri Lanka, in which a major portion of the Hambantota port has been sold to the Chinese authority. So we are hoping that this particular thing, or we are not hoping actually, but we are seeing or looking at this particular fact that maybe a similar kind of thing will also happen with the Pakistani authorities. So that is one of the thing. Now there has been 1+4 models. You need not to go into this. Just remember that China and Pakistan has been cooperating over Gwadar port, free trade zone, energy, transport infrastructure, and industrial corporation. The major project involved for the $6 billion loans was the 1872 kilometer railway line that will connect Peshawar and Karachi. So that is called as a Main Line 1, but the outcomes that was expected by the Pakistani authorities for the developmental purposes and for the growth of the economy are not happening. But it will also not put Pakistan into debt trap. Some economists are also suggesting that. So we will have to see how the final outcomes will be turning out. But we are not very hopeful. Whenever China is indulging some trade or providing some loan, there are some debt that are needed to be paid back. So I hope this is clear. Yeah. So I think that is it for today.